Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back on this lovely wet Saturday morning. I guess the people in Cape Town has no clue what I'm talking about, because I hear that it's really sunshine and it's hot and all of that good stuff, things that you sometimes don't expect from Cape Town. But yeah, welcome back. I hope you're going to join me this morning and that you're going to enjoy what I want to share with you this morning. So thank you very much. Let's open up LinkedIn and see whether things are happening here or not. We'll see. Let me see. Yes. There we go. All right. Good morning. So I can't see at the moment on LinkedIn. Let me just see my LinkedIn, if I can get that going. Whether we have the live stream here. Yeah, it's been quite hectic in terms of LinkedIn. I don't know what's going on since last night. I've been trying to, even when I do posts, they just don't come up. They take a long time, and then all the posts that I post comes up at once. So it's quite interesting what is going on. So let me just see. Here we go. All right. Anyway, it doesn't matter because we are recording the session, so we will continue as per normal. We may just not have as many people in the live stream as we think, but let's see. Sorry for that. I just want to make sure. That's the beauty about live streams, to see whether the technology is working, or although they're not, possibly. All right. So let's see. Yes, I've got a live stream here. Here we go. In the live stream as we think, but let's see. There you go. Good morning. I've got there Chart. Good morning. Morning, Terence. Hello, Neil Stradom. Yes, Chart said he struggled to get to my session. It is quite a battle on LinkedIn. Good morning, Neil. Neil, while you're here, I just want to sort of give you feedback on, I did speak to Xplan yesterday. So they're going to do a demo for me on Sweetbox. I already got some interesting information. So it seems like it's quite a cool option, actually. But yeah, I will definitely look into it. Barry said he'll help me organize a demo for next week. And then once I've got that feedback, will get back to you and to everybody and let you know what Sweetbox does exactly, and how, if you are using Xplan, how it integrates with that and whether it can integrate with other things as well. I will obviously look into that. Good morning, Razan. Good morning, Slanganani. Nice to have you here. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. All right. So let's get cracking. Today, I want to talk about, just by the way, so please, when you join, say hi. I see the guys on LinkedIn are very sociable and they like to say good morning. Thank you very much for that. And I know you're there. I can say hi to you personally. I really appreciate your time and for being here. It doesn't matter which day of the week it is, whether it's the Monday or a Sunday or a Saturday, it doesn't really matter. Whenever you spend time with me, I'm really, really thankful for that. And if you can't make it, just remember you can always watch the recording later. We always have the recordings and they show, they're up right after it. Sometimes it's got to process a little bit, but usually within 20 minutes or so, it's available on the YouTube channel as well as on LinkedIn. On my profile, at least there, it's easy to find once the live stream is done. Good morning, Louis. Welcome all the way from Cape Town. So can you confirm, you and Neil, whether Cape Town is as beautiful as I understand it to be? Good morning, Francis. Goeiemorgen. Nice to have you. You always put a smile on my face when you say hi, champ. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much and for being here. There's also quite a number of you who will be attending the online refresher that happens next week, Wednesday. Thank you very much for that. We drastically reduced the prices to make it more affordable for everybody. It's one of those things that I unfortunately can't do for free. But, we dropped it. It's only 350 Rand a person. So, and the value you're going to get from that, it'll include CPD. And that I'm still waiting for the approval because I submitted the application a little bit late, because I work a lot. Like yesterday, I spoke about perfectionism and those kind of things are also holding me back. But the application is in, so I am waiting for feedback on that. But as soon as I know, there will definitely be CPD points. I've no doubt in my mind about that, because we've done many of these sessions. We know what needs to be in there to be approved for CPD. And so I don't have any worries about that. But yeah, so if you want, please consider joining us on Wednesday. You can find it on my website. When you go to my website, it's just my name and surname.co.za, so francois.co.za. At the top, you'll see there's online refreshers. You can't miss it. And then you can just go and book there. And all the information about what we're going to cover and what we're going to do is also there. All right, so let me not sell too much on this Saturday morning, but please, I would love to have you there. We've had quite a number of bookings last week. So really excited, and yesterday again. So please join us. Good morning, Kobus. Kobus Klein back. Kobus, you haven't missed an episode. I don't know, like, what do you like? Coffee? Well, I need to send you some beans or something. He says, don't you guys have anything better to do on a Saturday? LinkedIn is fine on my side. Great stuff. I just love your sense of humor. Alan, nice to have you here. Alan, the last time I saw you was at Anna Paula's when we had that the session Privé that you attended on the social media stuff, if I remember correctly. Hope you're doing well. I see you've been traveling quite a lot. Alan is from Cadis, so welcome, Alan. Nice to have you here. And Chart says he's following Kobus's lead. Morning, Jen. Welcome back. And then Frans Harting. Always nice to have you here, Frans. I really enjoyed. He says he's got nothing better to do on this Saturday morning. The thing is all dressed up and nowhere to go, right? I hope you're dressed up. But if you're there in whatever, it's fine. Cool stuff. And Louis says over on YouTube, he says, yes, it is a beautiful day again in Cape Town. Fantastic, guys. I hope you enjoy it. At least if you can go outside, although you may not leave your own yard, enjoy it, because here it looks like Cape Town in the middle of winter. So we've got a preview of that. Alrighty, so today I thought, like, in one of the sessions we discussed, the power of a mastermind, I think, or something to that effect. I spoke a little bit about masterminds, and then a few people asked me, can I go into more detail on masterminds, what it's about, how do you start one or how do you join one, those kind of things. What is it really about? What can you expect? What should be sort of your view when you go into these masterminds? So I don't know, are any of you currently part of a mastermind? Can you let me know, in the chat? Let me know if you are part of a mastermind, whether it's now or whether you have been part of a mastermind before. Have you heard about masterminds but never got to learn about what it is? Just let me know a little bit about, where you stand in terms of that. It'll be cool to have a chat or just to understand where everybody is in terms of this. If you're over on YouTube, please remember to subscribe, please. We've really grown. We're on 138 subscribers at the moment, and I really appreciate it. You'll get notifications, etc. if you switch it on there on the right-hand side. And while you're there, please like the video so YouTube know we're here. Otherwise, they don't know. And then again, please post your comments and your questions in the chat. As we go through, you're more than welcome to do that. Engage with one another as well. This isn't just you talking to me or me talking to you, or sometimes it feels like I'm talking at you, which is not the intention. You can also then talk to one another. I think that is what this group is about for me. I want to build a community where people engage that otherwise maybe there wouldn't be an opportunity to engage with one another. So see this as going to it's not quite at that scale, but let's say going to an FPI convention and being able to talk to your peers and colleagues, etc. So take that same approach here. Enjoy. You're all my friends, and I want you all to be friends. So let's do that. Alrighty. So obviously, then let me just switch off all these things moving here on the screen. So the very first question, I guess, let me just see what everybody is saying here. I'm keen to explore this mastermind concept and perhaps to start or join one. Yes, I like it, Terence. Terence says to Kobus, I will be attending next Wednesday too. Kobus, yes, I'm part of a 15-person group who's been going for 20 years. Wow, I've been invited 3 years ago. That's amazing, Kobus. Sure, that one's been going for a long time, right? I'll be keen to know if members are changing regularly or is it the same people, in the group, etc. And also to get some feedback as I take you through all the mastermind things, the things you need to consider if you want to start one or if you want to join one. What are the things that you need to think about when you want to do that? And how does it work in some of these groups, because I've recently joined a mastermind group, which I'm really enjoying tremendously. And I've always wanted to, and I never really got to understand how these things work. But I did study up a lot on it, and being part of it and seeing what it does for me and how it helps and things that are working. I thought, let me share that all with you. And let's see, because I think a mastermind group can be a fantastic thing to belong to. But whenever I always joke, like whenever there's more than two people together, there's always this opportunity for things to go wrong. But if you've got the right people with the right mindset and everything together, it's a fantastic thing to have. Good morning, Arun. Welcome again back on YouTube. Nice to have you here again. Thanks so much. I appreciate all the regulars, and if you're new here, welcome. It's really nice to have you with us. All right, so let me get going. Otherwise, I'm going to waffle on and read you the comments until the end. But the first question here would be then, obviously, now, what is a mastermind group and what is it really? The thing is that you hear a lot of people talk about, we've got a master class, and then, it's those kind of things. Whenever we hear the word master, we get this idea that it's this next level thing. And that's really what I think a mastermind should be about and is about. It is to get the people in that group to the next level. Okay. But does that mean that, a mastermind group needs to have somebody that is like really there at the top and then someone's really at the bottom? So I'm going to talk about that. But a mastermind is really a community. It's a group of people that get together on a regular basis. And in that group, what they do is they brainstorm and they cultivate some creative thinking. It's a place where you can learn from one another. I think that's the biggest thing. I think you always want to belong to something. You want to feel like you're part of something, and you also want to belong to a group of people who sort of in the same or on the same mission as you, right? It's much easier to be in a group like that than being in a group of people who only wants to drink and braai and they're not serious about their business, for example. You would much rather fit into a group that's serious about their business, and then we can still maybe have a braai afterwards. But those are some of the things in the mastermind. In the mastermind also, there's an opportunity for you to challenge yourself, to be challenged by others, and to challenge others. That is the whole thing, because if you're on your own in your practice, for example, and you do things the way you do, all the decisions are on you. Every process, everything goes through you. You need to decide what's going to be done and what's not going to be done. And often your staff, if you've got staff, isn't comfortable for whatever reason to challenge you. Very few practices that I've worked with I can see that the staff are very open and just comfortable to challenge the advisor in that practice or the owner of that business. So getting into this group, you can be challenged, and it's a great thing because we need to challenge. I always tell people when I have a session, just know one thing. I am going to challenge you because nobody else is challenging you. That is my role. Whatever I'm doing, whether it's a workshop I'm presenting or a talk I'm giving or a session like this that I'm doing, an email I write, an article I write, a video I make, it doesn't matter. I always try and sort of rattle the cage then, if you will. Not on purpose, yes, but not in a bad way. I'm trying to sort of say, well, you've always been doing things this way. Maybe you should consider this. Have you ever thought about this? And the cool thing is that all I want you to do is to consider this. And if you then decide, "Nee, Francois, you're off the road yet completely. I'm going to do the way that I do things," then great. At least you considered an alternative. Because the problem is the longer we stay in our groove, the deeper we get ingrained in our groove. And the deeper we get ingrained in our groove, the less we see new opportunities or new ways of working, and we start falling behind, and we don't even realize that we are falling behind. So in terms of that, it's also a place where you get a lot of support, because if you are like-minded people, I'm going to talk about the things you need to consider for masterminds. But in a mastermind, usually if it's a good mastermind, you'll have like-minded people. They're there to support one another. So you're there to give support, but you're also there to receive a lot of support. And the amazing thing is you are one person giving support, but you get support from a lot of other people in that group. So that's also a reason why, or what a mastermind is about, rather. Then also a mastermind can help you make better decisions. Isn't that one of the most difficult things, whether it's in our personal lives, our business lives, doesn't matter. It's sometimes difficult to make decisions. There are many decisions that we just go, that's the decision, this is this, and it's easy. And then once in a while, there's that one or two decisions that creeps up, or one or two opportunities, and you need to decide, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? You know? So having a group where you can go and sit, and it's like-minded people who's also doing sort of what you're doing, or whether it's in your industry or another industry, but you're sort of in the same boat. You may be doing different things, but you're really after the same thing at the end of the day. And then a big one for this is it's a place to cultivate accountability for you and for the other members of the mastermind group. Because how easy is it if I've scheduled something in my diary, and I spoke about this in my webinar about the 7 habits, 7 powerful habits to build a legendary financial services practice. I spoke there about you have a default diary, you put things into your diary, but it is the easiest thing in the world for you to decide, because you're the one that put it into that diary, to say, I'm going to do something else. I'm not going to stick to that. And we do that a lot. We say we're going to do this, and we say we're going to do that, and we never do. And having something like a mastermind where you say to the group, okay, I'm going to implement this. Next time you come back, they want to know, did you implement this? So there's suddenly accountability. And those are some of the things that a mastermind group is about. Now, Napoleon Hill, that's the guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich. He defined it in his book. There was another book that he wrote before that. The name escapes me right in the second. But the, excuse me, he defines a mastermind as the coordination of knowledge and effort of 2 or more people. So that's the weird and funny thing. You can have a mastermind with 2 people. You don't need a lot of people who work toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. So, these are proper English words. This was written in 1925. So, this isn't a new concept. The mastermind has been around for a long time. In fact, there was things done in the 1800s already in terms of masterminds. But he then wrote about this in his book to say, well, this is what people are doing in order to get to that next level of success. So I want to read that again. The coordination of knowledge and effort of 2 or more people who work toward a definite purpose. So very important, because I'm going to get to what are the things that you need to consider when you want to start or join a mastermind. To work toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. Again, that's why I said like-minded people. And that's what Napoleon Hill said. He goes on in the same book of his to say, no 2 minds ever come together. No 2 minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. And you can say that third mind is the mastermind. And that's the thing, in Afrikaans we say 2 koppe is beter as 1, 2 heads are better than 1. I guess that's maybe where it comes from. But these are things that it's so powerful. Have you ever thought, I've gone to people and said, well, I'm struggling with this, and I've been battling with it for months, and I can't get to an answer. And you sit there and you say, this is my thing, da-da-da. And then they go like, why don't you try this? And I'm like, yeah, right, okay. There's a couple of people that have done that for me in the past. So, often just getting someone else's perspective who's not so close to the wall and everything's right here in their face. There's a lot of value to be gotten from this. So that's very, very important, when it comes to a mastermind, to think about it like this. So when no 2 minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. All right, let me see. Slanganani, it looks like you have started, Franco. Go ahead and constitute one. Okay, cool beans. Slanganani, I agree with you. Quibus, does your group, you meet physically? Okay, he's asking. So Quibus answered, most members has been there for years. So I asked Quibus earlier, what have how long has the group been going, and are the members changing, etc. So he's just saying most members has been there for years, and the chair who started it is still the chair. Wow. You only get in by invite, and the turnover is extremely low, and only if one of the 15 leave or pass away, which does not happen often. In 3 years, only 2 openings occurred. It's called the Think Tank and a very influential group. It is masters of our profession. Most of us mentor young professionals outside of the group for future Think Tank members. That's amazing. That's very, very powerful. I think it's so great to be part of that. And then just on Neil's question, whether they, to Kobus, whether they meet physically, he says, yes, Neil, we did meet always 2 weekly. But from October, we decided to do it monthly, but do have ad hoc special sessions with speakers as and when required. So still most times meet more than once a month. Okay, awesome. Thank you for all that feedback. I'm going to cover quite a lot of that in the rest of the session as well. Yeah, I don't see any questions on YouTube. So let me continue. So obviously then, if we now know what a mastermind is, I think it's important. And I don't know if this sentence sounds right, but what is a mastermind group not? What is it not? That is the question. And the one thing, and I'm going to say some things, and then you'll see later on, well, some of these things that I'm saying, maybe you can incorporate that, but this is not what a mastermind group is about. It is not a training session. It is not about coming there to learn something in terms of somebody's going to stand in the front and teach you something. It is not something where that's all the group is about. It is also not a networking / prospect. It's not a BNI session. Okay, for those of you that belong to BNI, it's not that. So this is not a place to come and just network and prospect in that. That's not what the mastermind is about. Then it's also not a coaching session. It's definitely not a coaching session. You may have people in the group who's got coaching skills and coaching qualifications, and they can definitely do that. But this is not a session where somebody stands in front again and coaches the group, and that's what it's about. You'll see as we go through, what this is really about, because this is a lot about each individual member and each individual member having their time and being able to get help and to give help during this. So this is much more than this. And then it's definitely not a collective moan and complain session, because if that's the case, then you've got the wrong people in the group. Now, saying that, it doesn't mean that you can't say that, I've had a bad week or something bad has happened, I don't know what to do. That's not what I'm talking about. But when this becomes a chronic moan and complain session, then you need to decide whether that is really the specific group for you, and be very wary that you're not the one complaining and moaning all the time in these sessions, because that's not what this is about. If it's a mastermind, it is how do we go forward. And I'm going to touch on some of the things that, if you want to create one, that you need to consider. All right, so then what are the benefits of belonging to a mastermind group? And I think if you look at the comments already on LinkedIn today, you can see that there's a lot of, just reading that, you must realize, well, there must be a lot of benefits in this. And I want to go through some of that with you. So if you belong to this mastermind, or if you start a mastermind and you've got all these people in there, you create a community of like-minded and supportive people. It's people that care about one another. Yeah, and you may start, maybe your first mastermind that you start, you invite people that you know. But over time, and it's already happening with us where, people know someone that they think, well, this person will add a lot of value to the group. And they would get the group's consensus whether they can invite that person into the group, for example. And as you would have seen from Kobus's comments as well, is there should be very specific rules about this. You can't. This is just not an open for all. Let's see who pitches today. It's not something that you put out on LinkedIn to say, oh, we've got a mastermind, we're going to meet you, welcome to come. It's not like that. This is a closed group. Okay, you invite the people, because otherwise you are not going to be able to build a community of like-minded and supportive people. Then another benefit is that it allows you to make better decisions. It can not only help you make better decisions, it can also help you make better decisions faster. Because if there's 4 or 5 other people in that group, in Kobus's case, there's 15 people. And in that group, if there's 15 minds around the table that you can think together, you can debate, you can look at it from different points of view, then you can get a lot of benefit. You can get to an answer a lot quicker in that scenario. And even, I guess, with a mastermind, is like, it doesn't mean that you can only discuss these things in the meeting. You may very well be able to connect with one another outside the meeting as well when you need specific help. Then you're also able to find very creative solutions. I think one of the powers about a mastermind, because you can set up a mastermind in a number of ways. You can have, and I'm going to talk about it, but you could have a mastermind where everybody is from the same industry, or you can have a mastermind with people from different industries. And I think the more variety there is, the more creative you can be in terms of your solutions. Because, have you ever said, like, we always, like, when we try and explain something, we default to something like a sports thing. Let's say, so in rugby, we do this, and that's how you do, and that's to give that metaphor or to explain to somebody how something would work. And often we do that the same in business, to say, in our industry, we would do this. And then it gives you a completely, okay, so how can I apply that to my industry or to my business? So those kind of things are very powerful. Then you can get more done because of accountability. So if you are a procrastinator, then, having a group like this and accountability, then it will definitely help you quite a lot to get over that procrastination of yours, because you do not want to rock up there and say, I know I said I'm going to do this. The first time the group may say, okay, no, but then next week you don't do it again. I promise you're going to get some hell from those people. And that's where the accountability comes from. And we must use that to our advantage. That's often what we do. We lack accountability because we are only accountable to ourselves. And unfortunately, discipline is one of the talents or strengths that one has. And some people rank very high with that, so they are naturally very disciplined, and other people are not. For instance, with me, discipline is not high on my list. It's not there. So you think about that. I need to use other things like strategy and my responsibility and those things to drive my discipline to be able to get things done. So it's not to say that you only need discipline, but it is important that you are being held accountable, because that is what drives action, and action is what drives results at the end of the day. You also feel connected because you've got a group of people. Again, if you've got that community, I think it goes back to the community. When you have that, you just feel that you belong. You don't feel so disconnected, alone, and that it's only you struggling with stuff. Suddenly you realize that there's a lot of people struggling with things in their business. There's a lot of people who don't know exactly what they are doing. There are many people who say, I can see things are changing, but I don't know how to adapt. You can see that you're not alone, but in a collective group like that, you come up with solutions, and you become creative, and you start implementing and doing. Can you see where this is going? How powerful this can be. Then also, you do learn from others in the group. So I said earlier, it's not a training session. So this isn't where you rock up and they've just got somebody who comes and speaks or trains or presents a session so that you can learn and then you have a drink and go home. That's not what it is about at all. But you do learn, and you may learn in that fashion where you do have a guest speaker, or you do have somebody in the group with some form of expertise that will discuss, that, or train people maybe for a little bit on that. But you learn so much from the conversation and the things that people are saying. That's where the power sits, learning from hearing, and then building up the confidence to go and do and try or adapt it in your business and implement it in your business. And then suddenly you start seeing results, and the more results you start seeing, the more you get involved in this. So that's beautiful. And then there's this thing for me that my whole life and my whole business is about helping others. And I think in a mastermind, you get to do exactly that. They say if you want to do something for yourself, do something for someone else. And by being able to also offer your expertise and your support and your ideas and your input, it brings a level of satisfaction to yourself that you are able to help someone else, even when you feel so often that maybe you can't even help yourself. We do have a lot of experience and expertise that are very valuable to other people who may be struggling with other kinds of stuff. And that's the beauty. You start dovetailing with one another to, like, today I help this one. And it's not always the case when it comes to helping others. It's not always about me doing something for you and then you doing something for me, or you did something for me and now I owe you and I need to do something for you. A lot of times what helping others is about is that you do something for me and I get to do something for someone else. and they get to do something for someone else. So it's not always about tit for tat, and then I do something for you, you do something for me back. It's sometimes that we are just being able to pay it forward. So you help me, and I'm willing to go and do the same and help someone else again. That is what helping. And there is nothing better than that. In 2016, 15, 16, I can't remember, I wrote on Facebook these daily today's thoughts of mine. And one of the things that I told a story about a friend of mine that asked me to go and pick something up for him. It was a little bit out of my way, but I was on my way to the town where he lives. I went there, picked it up, went there. It was such a simple, you know how good that made me feel? Just the fact that I went there, I got it, I brought it to him, and it helped him, and he was very thankful for it. There was nothing in it for me, nothing, except that feeling of, wow, how awesome was that? And since then, I've never forgotten, you know, how powerful that can be. And that's what a mastermind is about. You can help others as well, apart from being helped. And there are many more things that you can do and that you can benefit from in these sessions as well. So let me see if there are any new comments. Thanks, group. So Neil asked if everybody's from financial services. Kobus says, yes, we're all from financial services. It is on purpose, and it makes it easier, exactly what Francois started, to ensure synergy. Francois could not have described the objectives of the working group better. Okay, thank you, Kobus. Chart says, being new in the self-employed world, where do you look for a group relevant to one's line of business? I will get to that. But if anybody's got some ideas there, you're welcome to put it in the chat. If you're on YouTube, you know, are you part of a mastermind? You're very quiet. You are like roofkijkers, you know. You must participate in the conversation, please. I'm keen to hear from you. All right. So then the next point I want to talk about then is the you know, what to consider if you want to start a mastermind, but you can also say if you want to join a mastermind, because a lot of these things are important to consider when you want to join, you know, because if this is the way that you would start a mastermind, then surely you would like to join a mastermind like this. So that is crucial, I think, so that you don't land up. And you know what, if you do land up in the wrong group, don't let that discourage you. You know, just go look for another group. It's like, you know, dating. Sometimes you date a girl or a woman. If those of you that can still remember back in the day, you maybe, you know, you dated a few before you found the perfect one. And so the same with your masterminds, the same with anything, business partners, doesn't matter. You know, don't give up on certain things if you know that is what you need. So the things that you need to consider is, what is the maximum number of people? Now, there is no maximum. I have my views around this. I like groups that are not too big, because the bigger the group, the more people are going to get lost in the group, if you will. I mean, if I think about Kobus's group, it's 15 people. That is big for me. Someone like me, I don't know how involved, how active I may be. I don't know. But for me, you know, maybe 5 or 6 people is a good group size. Some people go up to 10. So there is no real maximum. But the one thing that you should be careful of is a big mastermind group that is very big, particularly if you have to pay to belong to that mastermind group. You've got to be very careful, because that's not really a mastermind group probably. That is more just one guy standing in front and just talking and coaching and training. So be very careful about that. They might call it a mastermind, but you know, it's like anything. You can say you're a financial planner, but when you look at your behavior, that must show that you're a financial planner, not your title. The same thing with a mastermind group. When you look at a mastermind group, it must look like one, it must walk like one, it must quack like one, you know, because otherwise it isn't one. But you must decide, number one, on the maximum number of people that you're going to allow into your group in that space. Or if you're looking at joining a group, how big is the group? Rather try and join a smaller group. Then very important, the next one is, what is the objective of the group? What is the purpose? Again, sorry, I'm referring a lot to Kobus this morning, but he said we are a group of financial services professionals on purpose. Okay, because there's a real, they know exactly why they're together, what they're trying to do, and where they're going with this thing. And this is another thing that you need to consider, that you may have your very own goals and your very own objectives and your own reasons for being there. But how awesome is it to join a group where everybody's sort of pulling in the same direction. They've got the same vision. They're on the same mission. we may be doing different things, but we're on the same road. Those kind of masterminds is very, very powerful. Then you also need to decide about how long this mastermind is going to run for. A mastermind typically runs for 6 months or a year, and then it disbands. So, something like in Cobus's, that's why I was asking Cobus, it's quite interesting. They're 15 people, so it's bigger than the normal group. They've been going for much longer, and there's not a turnover of members, really. So that is really a very special mastermind. In general, like you could have decided in this time, during lockdown, and I don't know if they extend lockdown, whatever, I think you should consider, starting a mastermind, or if you know somebody in your client base that's already got a mastermind, ask if you can join, if there's space to join. If not, you start your own mastermind. But you can then decide to have that mastermind run just during this time so that you've got somebody to connect to and talk to and share ideas and come up with some solutions and things. Or you can decide, I'm going to do this, let's commit for 6 months and then we reevaluate and see after that. But that's up to you. I mean, you can decide that this is going to be an indefinite one and you're going to run it for as long as it lasts and as long as there's value. And you can then see, how that goes. Then very important is, who will you invite? Okay, who will you invite to the mastermind? Because there are lots to consider when I talk about like who will you invite, because you don't want to get the wrong people into the group. One person can really, I saw that at some clubs and things that I belonged to in the past. Even though that was a big group, we were almost 100 people. There's 1 or 2 people that really causes this thing to become almost cancerous. And even though you're not involved, or even though most people are not involved in that, it's just that negative vibe between a small group of people in that can cause this thing not to be nice. So you really want to be wary about who you are going to invite. You also need to consider now when you invite them, the kind of people they are, but then also you need to decide, am I inviting people that are there in their business and I'm over here, or do you join a group where most of the group is there and you are down here? I think I've spoken about this in the previous episode as well. I truly believe that we can learn a lot from people who are in the same boat as us, or somebody who's in that next level boat. So you don't want to go from this small boat to this yacht. That's not easy. But if you go from this boat to a little bit of a bigger boat, then you still understand one another and you still understand how to drive and how to do that. But you don't want to go from this and then get on a yacht and say, oh, how what do I do now? And those things are very important. Like, so when do you decide is, I think you should get people into your group who's at your level or one level higher. You don't want to get somebody necessarily in that. If I think about, and it's interesting again, Kobus said that what they're doing is they are this group of people who's in the industry. There are very specific rules about when you can join and how you can join, etc. So they're all in the same boat, it seems. And then they're mentoring people outside the group to bring them up to a level where they can get them involved in the group. That's basically what I'm hearing him say. So that makes a lot of sense. But you don't want somebody who's there. Remember, everybody's there to go to the next level. That should be the purpose. Nobody is there just to remain where they are. You are there to take whatever you're doing to the next level. So even the most experienced person in that room wants to go to the next level. And there also needs to be value for them. And the only way that can be is if you've got people who are very close and in the same sort of stage or phase of their business in terms of their experience. Some of these groups say, you need to have a 6-figure business, or you need to have, you need to be a CEO, or you need to be, so you can become very, very specific about who you invite and who can join this group. And it should be like that. And then also the other thing that you need to consider is, do you get all the people from your industry, or do you get people from different industries, but at the same level? So those are things that are open. Those are just things that you need to think about, and what you think is going to add most value to you. In our mastermind group, we are 2 people in financial services. One comes from a marketing background. One is a coach. So yeah, it's interesting. Everybody's doing different things, and you get a lot of value from that. And one of the people have got experience in building big businesses and running big businesses, and now having restarted as a small business, it's quite interesting to learn from one another. So there's a lot of value from that point of view. Then you need to decide how often you will meet. So we said initially monthly, and then they made it weekly. So some people are meeting weekly, some people are meeting bi-weekly, some are meeting monthly, but it should be at least once a month. For me, weekly at the moment is quite a lot. But, if you know that you're in for that, you need to commit as well. You can't go one and then slip one and go one and slip one. So, whatever frequency you decide on, how often you would like to meet, do that. And then the last thing would be to decide, how are you going to meet? Are you going to meet face-to-face? Are you going to meet online? What are you going to do? So a lot of people are meeting online. You can even do teleconferences. The things are not my favorite thing in the world to do. But, with Zoom or Teams or whatever you're using, it's possible to have this meeting. You sit in your office. You can have this meeting for an hour or 2 hours or a morning if you decide to take a morning. But, do that. And then you decide on what format works best for most, and what you could do is to have monthly meetings online or weekly meetings online. And once a quarter, you get together face to face for a lunch, or you do whatever it is that you do. But I'll look at some ideas as we go along. All right. Before I get into ideas, let me see. Terence says he's in the same boat as Chart. There's a lot. I'll get to some ideas in a second. Kobus is saying, Chart and Terence, the way to find a group is through your network and to ask around. Francois, we meet for 2 hours and sufficient time for all 15 to be very active. We meet between 1 and 3 for traffic, and because we're all busy and travel a lot, we have an average attendance of 10. That's great. Cindy says, interesting. Hi, Cindy, welcome. Johan Marais, one negative person in a group can end the purpose of what the group was started for. Absolutely. I like your last comment of the value you get out of this and where do you apply it. Thank you, Johan. Neil, this is a great idea for small independent IFAs. Yes. It was 4 years ago. I had a guy, an IFA, that asked me if I didn't want to start something like this to get IFAs together. And that's the other thing that you can consider, is to have a facilitator for a mastermind. So you have everybody, because what you need is you need somebody to lead this thing. And, you can't just leave it open and then see, well, what if issues creep up, or, you need to keep people to the agenda. You need to keep them on point. It's often easier to get a facilitator, but often if you get a professional facilitator, that person would have to be paid. But you could also have, you can designate a facilitator in the group. So somebody different for every meeting. So now it's your turn, and then next time it's your turn, and then you can decide around, how do you do that? But somebody then sort of steps a little bit out of the participation part and gets in more into managing the mastermind thing. And again, the bigger the group, the more you need that. The smaller the group, maybe the less you need that. But be that as it may, but definitely I think there is an opportunity for IFAs to get together and to share in this sense. So this is an interesting comment, Chart. So Chart says that sounds easy to Kobus, but how do you keep competition and opposition out of it, or at least healthy? So I guess you're talking about competition and opposition with one another. I think one of the big things that one learned very, very quickly from this is that you're not working with the same clients. I mean, it's like, and I can see this in my game. I've met with many people who do sort of what I'm doing, and then looking at, there's certain things that they're doing that I don't want to go and recreate that. I could rather buy their stuff and use it with my people or whatever. And they're not really open to that, simply because I think they see it as competition, and they don't understand that the more we work together, the bigger we can make the pie, the better the value of what we offer. And you still get paid, whether I'm the one presenting it and you're the one who created it, and then tomorrow the other way around. What does it matter? We can work together. And often it is this thing about on the one hand ourselves, you're afraid, I know how I felt the first time that happened to me. So like what is this? This is just creeping onto my territory. The fact of the matter is that nobody's got territory. And that's where you get to like-minded people. They've got to be in it to learn from one another, because really, at the end of the day, you can only serve so many clients as a financial planner or financial advisor. As a trainer, I can only train so many people at a time. So we can't get to everybody. And the other thing is that not everybody's going to like you, and you're not going to like everybody. So it's important to understand that, there's enough for everybody. And as soon as you come from an abundance mentality and an abundance mindset, that whole thing, you don't even worry about that, Chart. So yeah, I know this this comment can go many ways, and I'm happy to chat to you about that offline as well. And then yes, so people say agree. Happiness. Let me see. There's a little number one here. Let me see who said what. Louis, fantastic. Louis says, a small group focused on financial coaching after we finished the Alan Gray behavioral coaching courses last year, trying to keep the skills relevant and sharp. Well done. Yeah, that's amazing, Louis. Particularly because this is also like where do you now meet these people? All right. Because often it'll be people maybe that you know from meetings and things, but where do you get to meet new people? Because to get new thinking, you need new people. And often on these kind of courses or workshops or programs that you go on, you will meet people there, because if they're there, chances are very well that they like-minded like you, because you are both there. You are both interested in that. You both feel that that's important to you. So I think that's brilliant. So that's one place for the guys who's looking for a mastermind. When you attend events or you attend programs and courses, things that last longer than a few hours, it's over a period of time, you get to know people and you can see who's thinking like you, and that's an opportunity then to start a group like this. All right, cool beans. It's going lacquer this morning. It's going so lacquer that I've got ice cold tea because it's so cold here. But I don't complain. All right, then some ideas for what to do in a mastermind. So if you've now decided what the mastermind is about, you know what it is that you want to achieve. You know the purpose behind this. You know where you're going. You know how many members, who you're going to invite, etc. Then so that's great. So now what are the next steps? So what can we do in the mastermind? And there's a number of things that people do, and I'm keen to hear for those of you that are in masterminds, what kind of activities you are doing. And so some of the things is, I would just say before I get into the different options, is that you need an agenda. There needs to be structure. So this can't be like, let's go there and see what happens today. There needs to be structure. So you need an agenda so that people know before the time what is expected and what's going to happen and how the program is going to flow. You started this time, you ended that time, and then you respect people's times and you keep to that. And that's why I said a facilitator may be very important in order to facilitate these meetings. But one of the things that are very popular in masterminds is called a hot seat. And I heard somebody talk about it on a session the other day where they spoke about hot seats. And then I read up about it, obviously, yesterday. And that's we're not doing that in our mastermind. So I'm going to propose that to our mastermind to say, well, let's do the hot seat. And what a hot seat is that you sit there, let's say for 10 minutes. If you're in the hot seat, you've got to be very open, very honest, very direct, very clear about a problem that you have. And then you shut up and then you stay quiet. And then for the next, so you're there to say, so you don't have 10 minutes to explain you're just in the hot seat for 10 minutes. So you've got to be quick and clear, and this is my issue. And then for the rest of that 10 minutes, you keep quiet. And you wait for other people then to answer and come up, and they just go like whatever. No holds barred, something like that. So nothing, they don't hold back. They go out and they just wait. You're not allowed to say anything. You must just keep quiet. And that's the idea about a hot seat. You don't interrupt. You don't debate. There's no debate. It's just like everybody just say whatever they want to say. And there's a lot of value that comes from that. So that's something that is very popular within masterminds. Then also, looking at, you can decide that, listen, here's a book. Let's all read through this book and decide what we're going to implement. And then through the accountability in that. So obviously everybody will read the book and they will come and discuss the parts that were most important, that stood out most for them, and then also which parts you want to implement. And then the accountability part of the mastermind can then keep you to that, to implement the things in that book that you enjoy. It's also obviously a place where you can debate. Let's say like in financial services, there's a lot of changes happening, all the time as the regulations change and new laws and updates and all kinds of things. You learn over time, like, we need to change, we need to adapt. And is this good? Is this bad? How are you going to approach it? So it's also, you can also use it for that. Then it's also an opportunity to teach your expertise. So if you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 people in the group, everybody's got something that they are an expert at. And there may be an opportunity for someone to teach their expertise to other people in the group. Let's say just for half an hour, They can do that, explain what they do, how this works, all of that, so that people get a better understanding about what it is you do, but also then it's new knowledge for them, and maybe there's a way for them to apply that. So that's something that you could have on the agenda to do as well. Then obviously it's a place to come and share your challenges. What are you challenged by at the moment? What are you struggling with? And to get some input from others. So it's really a place to do that. That can be on the agenda. Also share what is going well. I think often that's what we do in our group. We start off with, how's it going? Well, we first do a check-in. How's it going with you? But what's important is if you start with what went well this week or this month, depending on how often you meet. That's a great place to start, because I think it sets the tone for the meeting. If you start with your wins, what went well, and we did great, and this is something fantastic that happened, versus you start off with what did not work out this week. Immediately the energy in that group or in that meeting is going to drop. So, focus on what went well, what did work, what are we learning from what's going on at the moment. I love it how a lot of people are currently saying online, these are the positives that comes from this lockdown. And it's fantastic, because you can choose to focus on that, or we can choose to focus on the things that are not so nice, because there's lots of things to complain about in terms of the lockdown. But I like to focus on the things that are very positive and the things that are nice and the things that I'm learning now as I'm going along. I mean, if it wasn't for the lockdown, I wouldn't be doing this every single day. So this has been a fantastic experience for me personally. So that's a simple thing for me that I think is working well, and that's doing great. And then also it's a place to come, you can have on the agenda. So it's a place to come and ask, what do you need help on? You have let's go around the room, and do you need help? Or you decide in this meeting, those people can come and ask what they need help on. You discuss it, come up with those creative solutions in the group and do things like that. It's also a place to share resources, and that's sometimes for me the most amazing thing. And that's what I like about watching YouTube videos and listening to speeches and listening to people just sharing things, because they often drop some resource that you can use, and you always learn, oh, what tools are you using? I've never heard about that. You go check it out. You're like, how do I not know about this? Or somebody says, oh, I'm battling with this. Like yesterday, somebody phoned me. I couldn't answer, unfortunately, because I was busy recording. But I had somebody ask me about, I'm battling with my YouTube thumbnails. What do you use? And I told them I use Canva. Canva is so easy to use, and great. And there they go. So it's sharing of resources, things that you're using, tools, tips and tricks, those kind of things that one could also share in these masterminds. All right. So that's the ideas for a mastermind. I just want to see quickly. Okay, I'll come back to that. Cool. Alrighty, how are you all doing? Are you all good? Luckily, some of you can get up and go get some hot coffee or hot tea. I just want to see you. So we've got 7 minutes left, so we are on time. 7 minutes left. And another sort of question is, but what else? What else is there, that you just need to consider when you either start a mastermind or when you join a mastermind? And the first thing is that just remember, it's like anything new. It may take a meeting or three to click. It might take a meeting or three to find your rhythm. It might take a meeting or three to get things going into the direction that you envisioned for this if you started the mastermind, or to start to feel part of this group. So it's not going to happen in one meeting. When I went to the modeling club, where I was there just as a miniature figure painter, and I will still show you that in some episode. But that's why I went there, and you feel out, and you tend to go and talk to the people that because it's a big group. But over time you start feeling the more people greet you, the more people you greet, the more you start, and it's lacquer to go there. But the first few times I was quite anxious because I don't really know anybody. I don't know half the things they're doing, kind of things. But so it takes a while. You just need to commit and keep on going. Then it sorts itself out. You must also be willing for this mastermind to evolve over time. It may be that, like now, for instance, we're in this particular situation, and the focus of the mastermind may very well be a lot on how do we get through lockdown? How do we get over the bad economy and all the downgrades and everything? How are we going to push through that? And then when that starts changing, we can't still be looking at that. So the mastermind may evolve over time. And if I say evolve, it's also that, maybe you stop doing hot seats and you do something else, or you stop doing this and you start doing hot seats. So you can really let this thing evolve and become a thing of its own, something there where the members really enjoy being there. They enjoy putting their time into it. And that is what will make that mastermind successful over the long term. So don't have this rigid, this is what it must look like. And if it doesn't look like that, then I'm not part of this. Let it take a life of its own. All right. But guide it. It's very, very important. And then, I don't know, don't let it run forever, possibly. Kobus is now on the opposite side of that, where they've been going now for how long? And it's amazing, because I think most masterminds don't do that. So I would sort of say, maybe, if it still works for you and there's still a lot of value, then great. And maybe it's because the group is bigger. I don't know. But if you've got a smaller group, you get to some point, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where you watch someone a lot on YouTube, or you read a lot of books from the same person, and you start feeling at some point like, I've heard all of this before now. It's starting to repeat, and I now get it, kind of thing, And maybe then it's time to expose yourself to new people with new thinking. So you learn as much as possible from that group. You help one another. Those relationships will remain afterwards. But maybe it's then time to join another mastermind, or to start another mastermind with new people in it. And a great idea would also be, like, everybody that was in the mastermind to each go and start a new mastermind with new people, because they've got experience from this mastermind, and they can now bring in new people with other thinking and things into a new group. So that's also possibly one thing. Or if you want to keep going forever, then you keep going forever, for as long as it works. And then I think very important is just don't let just anybody into your group. Be very, like, I would always say that the rest of the members must approve when somebody new joins. So there must be sort of a what you call it, like, you would introduce them to the group. This is what they're about. This is where I know them from. This is the value I think they can add. And let them come to a meeting, like an introductory meeting, and let them be there. And they say, yes, we're cool. This person can join, or sorry, we're not happy as a group, because you have to protect that. Because, as I said, one person can really stuff up a great thing that's been going for a long time. Good stuff. So, yeah, where do you find a mastermind? I think that was also another question earlier on, which I didn't have on my list. But I think, as Kobus said, you would just start to ask. If you just look at your phone, I would start with my phone. I always start with my phone. If somebody says, do you know someone that, and then usually I go like, sheesh, I can't think of somebody right now, but I'll get back to you. And then the first thing I do, I go into my contacts and I start scrolling through my contacts. And because I see a name, and then it hits. So you can do the same thing. If you want to start, I think you should first go through the process that I explained earlier. You need to decide what it's going to be about. What are the rules? What kind of people do you want in your meeting, etc. But then you can go look for those people in your contacts and phone them. Say, listen, I'm thinking about starting this. This is my reason. This is my thinking. This is what I want. Is this something you want to be a part of? That's how we started. It was just one lady that phoned me and said, listen, this is my idea. Would you be interested? I said, yes, of course I'd be interested. So that's how we started. So that's the easiest way to get started. If you want to go look for masterminds, then ask the question. I would say, does anybody know? So you can obviously ask on social media. You can go search for masterminds. There are some mastermind directories as well. I don't know in South Africa, but I've seen there are some people that's got a directory of masterminds. But those, I would rather get into something where I know someone and you sort of know what you're getting into. So that would be my first place. And otherwise, just start your own mastermind. I think that is actually the safest bet to do. Don't be afraid to do that. And, if you know who is out there, or you could just say, listen, guys, this is what I'm planning. This is what I'm thinking. I'm looking for people who's in the first year of their business, just want to get together, have a chat, or somebody who's in the first 2 years of being on their, in their own business. Because here's the thing, I want to throw this out there. When you're new in your own business and you start a business right now, I was there for a very long time. You're now chasing that dream of this is how things should work. This is wrong. We shouldn't be doing things this way. This is how we should do things. And you get into this romantic relationship with this is exactly how. And I was there for 3 years. So trust me, you get like, this is it. And then you don't make money. Nothing happens. Your business is struggling. And it's because there needs to be a balance between the dream you're chasing and the business model making the money. So if everybody in that group is on that mission where you are trying to reach for that dream, okay, that it's still this sort of thing that nobody's done ever before, but we're going to do it. And it's not to say it can't be done, but there's nobody there to pull you back and say, guys, while you're going there, it's not from scratch you get there. There's a process. We need to change things slowly. There's a way things work at the moment. So you also need to be careful of just being new people. So you've got to be somebody, maybe people who's in their first 3 years or 4 years or 5 years of business could be in a group together, because there's a lot of value. Because with the new people, they ask questions that these people maybe don't think about anymore. So, when you feel it's a stupid question, it's actually a brilliant question. And those things are very important. So that's what I would do. I would either just start my own one, or I would ask in my current community, your client base, in other words, does anybody have a mastermind? Does anybody know about a mastermind? Are you looking to join one, get involved, etc.? And that's how you start. That's the easiest. All right. So last few comments. Let me see quickly. So here we've got Louis says, try to find people that can challenge your assumptions. Yes, that are willing to share and help improve you and your business, and be that person to other people. Often, it's so easy for us to take and to want, because this is what I need, and then we forget to be that to other people. And as I said before, it's not to say that if Louis, you do this for me, that I'm doing this for you. It's maybe Louis, you doing this for me, and then Chart, I'm helping you, for example. So it will definitely be something to that effect. Good morning, Johan. Hope you're well. Thanks for being here. And then Louis also says, ask your broker consultants, providers, or discretionary fund manager to connect you to like-minded people. There you go. That's a great suggestion. Thank you very much for that, Louis. Let me see quickly. Terence, plenty of pie for everyone. I like that. Yes, there is. Chart, good point on having an effective group, says Quibus. It is all about vetting the members you invite. The members must be successful in their own accord, who would respect each other, have integrity and respect, and the group self-regulate. If anyone break the rules, the group vote them out, or we use counsel, but we have not had that problem yet. Yes, great. Because, when you're very careful of who you're letting in, you don't have to deal with problems like that. It is when you just let in everybody that you deal with problems like that later on. Chart then says to Kobe, so it must all be about synergy to improve that what we do. Yes. Kobe says to me, Francois, we do not work on an agenda per se, but we work on specific topics for some sessions, but we make sure we have general sessions where issues can be raised during the 2-hour session. The chair role is critical to manage time and input and to give everyone the opportunity to have a say. The chair is respected and have full control. Invites to thought leaders, gurus, experts who can help the group to grow and solve industry problems. Chart, it is all about synergy, respect, ethics, and about the group and not individuals at all. Nobody has to prove anything or themselves. That is very powerful, and that is true. And that's why the group is working. And if you really look at it, so you say you don't have an agenda per se, but if I look at the things you're doing, it sounds like an agenda to me, Kobus. It may not be written down, but I think it is definitely there is a structure. I think that is maybe the better word. Johan Marais says, I've been invited to groups just to find out that what they are doing is what you've already done, but always keep an open mind. If you don't partake, then how would you know if there is value in it or not? I always am of the approach that if you go like, and I learned this at a session, it's not my thought, but I learned it at a coaching session event thing that I was at, where the guy said, you know what, if you have the approach of, how interesting is that? Rather than, I know that, I've seen this, I've learned this before, that doesn't work, I've tried that before. Versus, how interesting is that? Because, it's not always about learning something new. It's sometimes about being reminded about something new. Often I sit in these sessions and I hear all these things that I know, and I ask myself the question, so why haven't you done that? Why haven't you implemented any of that? What is wrong with you? That's what goes through my mind. And then you go and you act after that, So often you get excited again about a concept, because when you heard it for the first time, you thought like, wow, this is fantastic. And then you want to go and do that. And then life happens and business happens and you never get to it. And by hearing the same things again, you get reminded, and then you go and implement these things. And also now, if you start asking questions or you're giving your input about your experience with that thing, you're adding a lot of value, And I think there's a lot of satisfaction in adding value. It's not only about receiving that value as well. So great comment. Thank you very much. Alan, thanks. He says, excellent sessions. Keep well, stay safe. You too. I think you're getting withdrawal symptoms because you're not traveling as much anymore. Neil says, thanks, Ron. Have a great day. Enjoy. Dankie, Cindy. Beslis iets te oorweeg en nodig. Baie dankie. Have a good one. And let me see if I've got anything else here. Johan says, invite people from other industries. You learn a lot from them that you can apply. Yes, you echo what I've said before. So that is absolutely true. And guys, yes, I'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. sharp on Sunday morning here on YouTube or on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for joining me. I will send out what the next topic is going to be. And I've already got a good idea of what I want to do. And I'm going to change my background a little bit, hopefully today. I've been wanting to do it this entire week. So come and check out what I'm doing to the background to make it more interesting. And on that note, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you, Arun. We'll enjoy the rain. Thank you for everybody that was here. Have a fantastic Saturday. Have a braai, make a potjie or something. And I'll see you back tomorrow morning right here on Coffee with Francois. Thank you very much and have a fantastic day.